It seems like we're all being fed a narrative that we need to be afraid of each other and that we're so much more divided than I think we actually are.
I grew up in a very conservative family. We tended to always vote Republican.
Our family always voted Democrat, just like you. I was like, oh, well, that's just what you do.
Humanity and intelligence. Those are my political values.
I voted Democratic my whole life.
I am a member of the Republican Party, which feels very controversial to say at times because there's such vitriol in the political space right now.
I am so aware that we're all going to have to live with each other after November.
The media helps us think that we're very polar opposites. I enjoy just meeting people individually and being able to talk about our own stories. I felt tugged in different directions recently, especially, with the strange elections we've been having recently. And I'm just questioning, where do I fit on this continuum?
Yeah, for me I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so I didn't realize what an unusual setting I grew up in. It was very diverse. I'm Jewish, and when the attacks by Hamas on the Israelis happened, that was really, really frightening to me.
Yes.
And then when Israel began its offensive on Gaza, I was not in favor of that. I just felt like just politically it wasn't going to achieve their ends, and all it was going to do was create sympathy for the very people that just attacked them. My children, they're very much pro-Palestinian, and they were using words like genocide and calling the Jewish people of Israel colonizers. And to me, that was so shocking. I'm pretty liberal, but I just couldn't quite make that leap. And I feared that was going to be our family moment where we couldn't talk about stuff and it was going to cause this huge rift.
We found that, sometimes it's the politics that we just can't go to some topics. But, going back to the pandemic too, that was also a time where there were such different views of what is okay and what is not okay, that really made a rift in our family too.
I'm actually adopted. I was adopted from South Korea at 3 months old by a Polish family on the west side of Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Grew up west side Polish culture. If you spend much time.
Yeah, I know the west side. Frank's meat market.
You got it. Exactly. Yep, so
I know a lot of people from different parts of Asia. I've been around Vietnamese, Cambodian, a little bit of South Korean, just different places. And I'm a big movie dude, big into South Korean movies, culture, big into Chinese.
In your own words, your personal political values.
Go ahead. You take off first since I was doing all the talking.
I'm happy to. I spent 6 years working in government, in the legislature, working as a Republican with Democrats. And what I can tell you is that of the real things that our government actually does, 95% of it will get borderline unanimous agreement, right? It is very little that the elected officials that we vote for do that is actually divisive. And yet somehow every single thing that we talk about is that 5% difference. We're so trained to see the other as the other.
We'll make you guys focus on race, religion, gender, cultural. We'll just do you like that and keep you busy. And a lot of people just don't, I don't know if they don't take the time to actually kind of pull back and look at it and then say, you know what, today, regardless of what I think, today, I'm going to have a conversation with somebody who has a different opinion. And I'm going to sit and listen to them, and I'm just going to ask some basic questions and see if there are things that we can actually start agreeing on first and work from that angle versus we're going to first come out with clubs and sticks and whatever else to hit each other over the head for the things that we disagree about,
I love everything you said. I so appreciate the refreshing perspective.
I have been working in the healthcare environment for 35 plus years. Worked for Mary Free Bed Hospital in Grand Rapids for 10 years.
Well, Deneen, I feel like we have a lot in common because I retired from Mary Free Bed. I was a care manager there, and I feel like, especially people in healthcare, they have a unique experience, in terms of seeing what people need.
Let's go a little deeper.
Okay.
Drive your own words, your personal political beliefs and issues that you are passionate about.
Wow. I mean, I've always been left-leaning in terms of my beliefs. I remember early on feeling very strongly about the right to choose for women. For me, the personal is political, and I had a severely disabled daughter, and that was a terrible strain on my marriage. She was my firstborn. She was severely impaired. After that, I had numerous miscarriages. I finally had my son, who was premature, but he's an adult. He's healthy now and married. After that, I ended up getting pregnant, and my doctor said, you cannot have this baby, because I'd lost babies at like 20 weeks. I had to terminate that pregnancy. I remember thinking to myself, if somebody wanted to talk to me about abortion, I wanted to say, I wanted that baby more than anything. So when I hear people talk about that issue, I think you have no idea what's gone on in people's lives. No idea. Consequently, my husband and I went on and we adopted a little boy after that, and he's in the Navy now. But that's always been a really personal thing for me, and that's where I am. So tell me about you. Go.
Oh, well, being raised in a pretty Republican family, both parents actually, but my strong political views I have learned over the past, I would say 6 to 8 years. Well, first of all, I was Republican and I married a Democrat. And we always talked about our different points of view, and we recognized that we probably just canceled each other's votes out. As I look at some of the values of both the Republicans and of the Democrats, I can sit pretty close into the middle. I am pro-choice, and that was an issue that I felt strongly about, and that really opened up a lot of my conversations with my friends and my family, because obviously we had differing points of view. Each of them had a different experience. And that was what I enjoyed understanding, is not just you have that view, but where did it come from? What are your thoughts around the topic?
We sound very similar in many ways. I don't have those people to bounce things off with. Family. I do have friends that have large families, and they've cut people off because
I know.
And I said, oh my gosh, they're your brother. Can't you just agree to disagree? And life is so short.